Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. For those of you listening to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast, welcome back. I have Veronica Lynn Clark with me today. And we've already started out talking about it. So what are we going to talk about? We're talking about intimacy. We're talking about personal reinvention. Veronica is a sex and intimacy expert as well as a best-selling author. She's written books such as To Be Aligned, Getting Clear on Your Higher Power, and SEX Boss, A Guide to Embracing Sexual Energy for Self-Mastery and Personal Empowerment. And she's also the host of the Liberate Your Orgasm podcast. So for those of you listening, this is one of those possibly for little ears. You might want to make sure you've got your earbuds on, and we're going to have a fun conversation. Where do you want to start?
Oh my gosh, wherever. I just went off. We already started talking about cactus. Where else can we go?
Well, let's go to where did you begin? So you're doing work around the world by writing books and supporting individuals and advocating for passion and helping people turn their lights on, right? There must be a moment or a sequence of moments that happened in your teens or 20s or 30s or something that ignited something within you for this to be your passion and purpose on the planet right now.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it has been much like the cactus. It's been prickly. It was hard. It was I've had a lot of difficult things happen in my life. And so what started was I'd say in my late 20s, I finally acknowledged to myself how shut down I was. I was right at the brink of divorce and bankruptcy. It was just like my entire life was just a disaster. Everything felt spiritually bankrupt. I felt just emotionally bankrupt, everything. And at that time, I had been in the corporate world and I have 5 beautiful children. They were all little at that time. And I just was like, I'm going through the motions in my life and I'm numb and I'm checking the box, but I'm not really alive. I'm not alive. And I didn't know exactly what that meant. It was just that I felt like on one hand, I had built up this whole fantasy world of what I thought life was supposed to look like and be like, and the kids and the husband and, all the things. And then when all of that started to break down, and I was left with what I was, it was just like, what was all of this in the first place? I don't even feel like I wasn't happy. I was just going through the motions. That brought me to look at my childhood and my past, which all had to do with sexual trauma. And that I had was dealing with for years of my life, years, and I just buried it all. I didn't look at it. I listened to those messages of just move on, move forward, go on with your life, get over it. And it's over, it's in the past, especially when there was like family members involved, that there was this like part of having to protect other people and never really learning how to protect myself. I just learned how to persevere and move forward, much like that cactus out there. Just move forward. But I wasn't really taking care of the little stuff that was inside. And as a result, I was just not connected to my life, and I wasn't connected to my body, and I wasn't connected to my husband, and I just so and ultimately it was the best thing that could have happened to me because I had a choice. And I was like, am I going to live in this lifetime? Am I going to actually live? Or am I going to go through the motions and slowly die?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that I was going to be a sex and intimacy coach. I didn't know that I get to work with couples around the world now to help them to change and to save their marriages and to infuse more intimacy and joy into their lives and their relationships and revivify them. I had no idea that I would be working with women and helping them to build their confidence and trust in themselves and to learn how to, like, yeah, just find their voice. So my passion came because I had to like strip away and strip down everything else so that I could find this wellspring of life that was like that wanted to show up, that wanted
Mm-hmm.
to move out from this little hidden places that I had buried it in. So
Right. The numb places, the places of I'm not really living, I'm just kind of slowly dying and going through what was expected of me. So, what was the decision? If you go back to that place of feeling spiritually and emotionally bankrupt
yeah.
and the like, I can't deny this anymore, I feel disconnected. At that time in your life, what was the decision that needed to be made?
So there are a series of different decisions that ultimately I had to make. But I would say one of the biggest decisions was I had to decide who I was going to be.
Mm.
I had to decide that.
I love you didn't decide what you were going to do
Mm-mm.
or how you were going to do it or who you were going to do it with.
No,
You wanted to decide who do I want to be? Hmm.
yeah. And when you're deciding who you want to be, there are a series of different decisions that you have to make, and you have to look at different things. And so that brought me to another part, which was I had to be comfortable going into the unknown places and not having the answers, and to let it look different than what I was familiar with. I had to learn how to like navigate and move through the darkness.
Hmm.
And and that was a gift too. That was a gift. So it was scary sometimes, and it was beautiful, and it was chaotic, and um but that was the other part of like the decision making is like I have to learn how to show up differently
Hmm.
and to be able to dive into those unknown places.
Yeah. To be able to say, I don't know, to go into the dark cave and do it anyway. And so if you fast forward to May 2024,
Mhm.
how would you describe who you be
Mm,
today in comparison to
mm,
however long ago this was that you were at that, like, the visual I have is you're looking in the mirror saying, I don't recognize who I see.
mhm.
And I'm at a crossroads and a decision point. And so you made a
Yeah,
decision.
yeah.
And so then who are you now? Who did you become?
Ah, I became a woman who can really look back and love and celebrate and cherish that young woman that I was, and who has so much compassion for all of those versions of myself and that whole process between then and now. And and I've also become someone who's been able to share my journey. I get to share my journey in different ways. It doesn't have to, no, I realize just the gift of being able to go through my go through is the gift in itself.
Hmm.
It like I've I'm still continuing to blossom. I love this version that I am. I love this perfume of me. I love it. It's amazing. It's incredible. Every single day, I'm still learning how to, like, what is this mystery? What comes through me? The more that women start to really trust the mystery of themselves and allow themselves to navigate the unknown and to surrender, like, how you think it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, when you let go of like the comparing and so forth, it's like, for me, that's shown up in me being able to tap into so much wisdom and so much knowledge that comes through me in my books. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing another book. I have two other books right now that I'm actively writing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because I got to open up this channel, this vortex that's like just wants to move through me. And
Mm-hmm.
that has been able to come through, you know, being mostly unafraid. There are definitely edges where I'm like, oh shit, we're going here, where this is what's happening. Um, but I always come back to this, like, babe, you always make it through, and it's always better than you've ever imagined it would be. And you always,
Yeah.
there's not a mistake. Every single thing is like turns into something that's so incredibly beautiful, or I meet different people. So this version of me is like, I'm always in evolution. And that is because of those decisions of trust the unknown and don't ever, ever give up. Don't
Yeah.
ever give up on, don't ever give up on believing in yourself. Don't ever give up on continuing to move forward. Don't think that you're going to stay stuck. You're not. Remember all of the magic. Like these are all of these pieces that I have just come to fully understand and know. They're not necessarily fully ripe in me. Hopefully, I get to live a long life, 120, 130 years old. I'd love that. That's what I'm working towards. But right now, I feel like it's still like coming more and more alive in me. All of this medicine
Mm-hmm.
is just continuing to move through me. And so,
And I love that what I'm hearing is there's not an arrival point. There's not a destination,
mhm,
that it's a continual process of, okay, who am I now and who do I want to be?
yeah,
And where can I surrender and where can I be in the unknown? This morning I was talking with my husband as we were on a walk and just going, okay, if I get clarity on the vision
mhm,
of the next life, the next day I want to create, and I allow myself to make some declarations, but then accept that how I define success has nothing to do with anything external. It's really not about the money or the fame or what people think or how they respond or what the result externally is. It's what if I measure success simply by how I feel? And if I choose a few, like I was like, okay, what if I choose three core emotions that, like, these are the things that are of utmost importance, and I make that my beacon, and that's
yeah,
where I lead from, and that's how I define success. And so what I'm hearing in you is kind of the same thing of going inside, into the dark places, into the unknown, into the discovery, into the journey in a really feminine, juicy way. And you help thousands of people every year reignite their passion for their lives through online and in-person courses and events and coaching programs and books.
yeah.
So there is some like tangible logic, get shit done masculine that is in your reality.
Absolutely.
So
There has
talk
to
a little bit about
be.
that.
Yeah. Interesting enough, that's what my book, Sex Boss, which is Sacred Energy Exchange, that's what it stands for,
Mhm.
is really about the inner marriage of the masculine and the feminine. And that has been one of the other gifts that I've continued to cultivate in my life is the dance between getting stuff done and really being able to yeah, to become more masterful about that. I need to get stuff done. I want to. That's how I'm going to be able to land my gifts here. But my feminine gets to inform that. They get to inform each other. And so, yeah, it's I'm feeling myself like it's such a deep conversation, the masculine and the feminine. So I don't necessarily want to get into that like right now, but so get my book for anyone who's listening to this. Get that book because it's going to teach you all about it. Um, but for me, I used to be, so I have been in the corporate world, like I said. I was also a director at a university. So there was this part of me that was very rigid and very structured. And as a result of my trauma, um, was very helpful for me to have a direction and to have guidance. So I was that for myself. I was that strong, fierce man who knew how to get stuff done. And so I'm grateful for those experiences. And then, but when I started to have that breakdown, that's when I realized like that was too hard. That was too rigid. And I didn't have enough breathing room. There wasn't enough flow in my life. So I needed to learn how to dance with myself and like really feel all the little nuanced edges of, does this feel good? Is this too hard? Am I moving from my mind? uh, there's a lot of there's a lot of like question in dance. It's like tango. No, not, and I'm fantastic at tango, but there is this like surrendering, this giving, this movement. And I had to learn how to do that dance within myself. And it's been extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
because the life that I've been able to create is really infused with so much beauty, where I have these tangible things. I have these books. I know how to discipline myself, but I'm also not the taskmaster with myself that I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that doesn't work. You look at nature. Nature is my teacher. Every single thing in nature has both elements combined, and each thing, a leaf, a tree, a flower, every single aspect of it has some balance of the integral structure, the integrity of the masculine, and then that soft flow of the femininity. So that's what I have had to find. I've got to find in myself. And that's really what I also try to help people to find in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just like about like producing stuff. It's about like, how did we live this life? How do we feel while we're living this life? Does it feel good? Are we able to, like the cactus, produce the flower? You know, can we birth something? Do we see the tangible evidence of that? Did it feel good while you were creating it? Did it feel good while you were like birthing that? There's all of this, like, there's all these parts that, yeah, when you just start to ask some of these different questions, it just life feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, what's your vision moving forward? When you're thinking about, okay, you have books, sounds like you're hosting in-person events as
Yeah.
well as online support. Do you have clarity on um, what's going to well up from within you moving forward and who you want to be and how you want to serve and your gifts to be like really fully expressed?
Yeah. Well, my next step is that I am recording my books. So those will be on Audible, hopefully before the next couple months, end of the next couple months. I have Body Temple Sensuality Training that is coming up in July. And that is just one of my signature embodiment trainings for women, which is really the ultimate embodiment. It's all women. It's such a beautiful, sacred space, just for finding our voice, reclamation, and really just being able to have an embodied practice about some of these things that I'm talking about. Some of the stuff that I'm sharing feels kind of abstract, and maybe some women may not be able to fully get that, as I'm explaining it. But when you're like in physical and in the space, and I teach these things through dance, through movement, through breath, through meditation, through Kundalini yoga, right? So my more in person, and also more online tradings. I guess that's really what's next for me. That's kind of
Yeah.
been an edge doing a lot of online stuff, so I haven't really been in that area. I love teaching in person and teaching
Hmm.
retreats. But I think, yeah, if I were to say that my next edge would be going more in the online space and a TED Talk.
A TED Talk on what topic?
Forgiveness.
Ah, forgiveness in the context of intimacy and passion?
Forgiveness in the context of sexual abuse, sexual trauma, that's really where it stems from for me.
Hmm.
And then all those other nuances, but just forgiveness in like all of the hard things that we've experienced in life where we might blame other people and might leave our power stuck in that place of like the blaming, and really reclaiming that, and
Hmm.
being able to being able to forgive as a pathway to a greater sense of compassion and living life and a lot more beauty.
Hmm. And now, when you look at your life, so you're no longer in California, you're in Arizona, you were just in Bali. Are all of your children grown and out of the house? And are you recoupled and or completely liberated? Or what does this new version of you now look like?
Oh my gosh, that's such a
I'm guessing you're no longer in the corporate world.
I'm no longer in the corporate world. No, all I do, I'm at a spa. Like I'm just, no, I'm living the most amazing life. I get to travel all over. I'm going to be in Turkey at the end of this month. I'll be in Europe in the summer. My kids are grown, which is incredible. And in this moment, I'm not actually in a relationship. And that's awesome because it just leaves the door open
Hmm.
for a beautiful relationship that I am calling in,
Yeah.
and that aligns with this version of me. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm
And
excited
what's
for
in
that.
Turkey? What are you going to Turkey for?
I'm actually going to Turkey for it's a retreat. There's going to be a ton of speakers there. So this is really nice because I'm usually the one that's teaching, and I am just going to go and and it's just
Mm.
so incredible. Um yeah, that's like the Six Senses resort that I'm going to be at, and it's just this
Mm.
massive
So full receivership.
full receivership.
Yep. And
Oh,
then you're up just to play.
both play and to teach. And yeah, my daughter's graduating from college, so we're gonna go out there and celebrate her.
Yum,
Yeah.
yum. And I imagine you no longer feel spiritually and emotionally bankrupt.
Oh my gosh. No. Now I feel so, oh my gosh, I'm overflowing. I'm so
Hmm.
wealthy. I'm so wealthy.
Hmm.
It's, but that's the thing. Sometimes you go through loss. Like I don't hope that for everybody. It just happened to be my path. I don't, it's like you go through loss and then you realize like what the true wealth is and how to really gain that. And, I just had to strip away and burn away a lot of things. And it came in a really, felt like a very difficult and disruptive kind of a way. And, and that's okay. And if anybody listening to this, if you can relate to what I'm saying in any way at all, where it's been chaotic and it's been hard and you haven't been able to figure out how do I pull the pieces out of this, and how do I stop judging myself, or how do I stop blaming myself for staying in situations too long or for the decisions that I made, just don't do that anymore. The only reason
Just
why
stop.
just stop, really, really, because the only reason why we should look back is really like, hey, what could I learn from that? But don't do that. It's like just move. There's a way in which we have to know that you're going to figure it out. Like you really
Mm.
are. You just trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. We have to do that. That's the only way that we are really going to be able to land our gifts and really show up in our lives. We have to learn
Mhm.
how to trust ourselves.
Especially when there's such bombardment of different people to theoretically trust. So many experts in the world, so many best products, best new ways, best new diets, best new courses, best new ways to parent, best new ways to exist, best new ways to decorate your home, best new cars, best new social media, best new, like, whoa.
I
But for
know.
us to allow the lights to go inward
Hmm.
and go, all right, what if I actually don't need to do it all? What if I'm actually going to allow myself to do it my way
Hmm.
and allow it to be internally led?
Hmm.
Yeah. So good. I'm aware of time. This is a shorter podcast and it's juicy, and I'm sure people are on the edge of their seats. Any words of wisdom for the individuals that are either watching this live on Facebook or listening to the podcast, or you're on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you're listening on, you're watching one of our shorts in Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are. If you're consuming this and you're sitting here with Veronica and I, Veronica, any words of wisdom, like one thing that you would say, this, please heed my words.
Hmm. I would say that wherever you are right now, decide who you want to be
Mm,
and develop a tolerance for the unknown, and don't ever give up. Never
hmm
give up on your life, and don't ever give up on what's possible for you. I think
Yeah.
that's really important for people to know that. And like you said, there's so many confusing things outside of ourselves. And the only way to really know how to navigate that is by learning how to tune into yourself. And our feelings and our emotions, those are guiding points for us. And the more that you can understand those nuances in the feelings, the more you're going to be able to tap into your inner guidance and live in this world a lot more joyfully and with a lot more clarity.
hmm So good. So, follow Veronica. Instagram is at Veronica L. Clark. Go to her website, veronicalynnclark.com. I'll make sure links are in the show notes. And Veronica, just grateful for the way you're serving in the world, but more than anything, that for who you're being
Mm,
and
thanks.
how you're being. Yeah, it's palpable and it feels genuine and it feels internally led,
Yeah.
and a rising tide lifts all boats. So thank
Oh,
you.
thanks, Mariah.